Okay, so if the audio is kind of crappy, sorry, the wind is picking up out here. But if you're watching this, you already know what bead setting is. This is just to go over some technique. I'm going to be setting this little 2 millimeter stone, and I don't have like all the best tools. I don't have the best equipment, but we get shit done either way, and you can too. There's always another way. Just because it's the way the pros do it, might be one of the best ways, doesn't mean the only way. So what you're gonna need, this is a ball burr. So you're gonna need your ball burr to cut your main cavity for the setting. You're gonna need an inverted cone burr, and this one is rather small. You just want it for cutting a channel for the bezel. And what I mean by that, or for the girdle, excuse me, not the bezel, the girdle. So this is what I mean by that. So if you have the surface of your silver here, you take that ball burr and you cut into the surface. Right, we're looking at like a dissected version of the profile of the piece. So cut your ball burr into your material, and then the second step is you're going to be cutting that channel that I talked about all the way around the inside of your setting where that girdle is going to set in. And what you'll notice is where it's set is a little bit shy. You're cutting it a little bit shy, and I mean like maybe you know 0.1 split, like on this stone. This is a 2 millimeter stone, like 0.1 split in both directions. Um, so you're gonna split the difference of 0.1 of a millimeter, if that makes sense. And then the third step is you're gonna put a slight angle on right here, this slight angle, and that's gonna help you get your stone in. All right, let's get into it. This is a larger inverted cone burr. Try and get a better image for you to see that profile there. Okay, so I'm going to be using a much smaller one. And if you were going to set a larger stone, like this is a 4 millimeter cubic zirconia. If you were going to set a larger stone, like I don't have a 4 millimeter ball burr, but I do have something that's closer in a diamond burr. So if you're doing it with diamond burrs, you want to start small, make sure that you're centered where you want your setting to be, and then work up through your sizes. That way you're not fudging with the largest piece, because if you take away that top layer of silver, you're not going to have anything to push over the stone. And then that makes it where you have to cut down more of the surface of your silver to basically resurface it, go deeper with your ball, and then try it again. But you only get so much because of where that girdle channel is set, if that makes sense. If you have to eat below the surface, you're gonna eat into that channel, and then it's gonna be too wide. So always give yourself a pilot. Like start with something smaller, either a punch, and give yourself a little pilot divot. I got a tiny ball burr. I'm gonna start with that. Okay, is that in frame? Okay, once you got your pilot deep as you want it, now we're going to get into the big boy here. Say big boy, it's 2 millimeters. And always check your tooling. We got exactly 2 mils. So I know it's going to work for this stone. This stone is actually like 2.2 or 2.1. 2.2. So I know that I have a little bit of error that I can make, a little bit of human error. So if that's the case, you have a ball, just don't go past the center of the ball. Keep on the underside, and then you can always check your stone. If you need to switch to a smaller bit to finish out your depth, you can always do that. Change the angle up here, and then I can catch my silver shavings too, a little easier. I start at an angle with my ball burr because it just helps me cut a little bit better on the start, and then I'll start to stand it up. Sorry, you probably can't see that. Angle it and then stand it up. So start it at an angle and then stand it up. Okay. So if you like the size, I fudged it a little bit there, you can see, but it'll still hold. I'm just gonna go a little bit deeper. Try and take my time here. Now you'll take your, oh, that's the ball. So now you're obviously left with a ball, and it's hard for a stone to like set straight up in a ball, right? So we're gonna make our little ledge, and just like I showed in the diagram, I'm gonna be cutting around. Basically, have my tool right here. I'm gonna be cutting that channel out of the silver right there. And this tool, by the way, this is a little micro Dremel that I picked up from Harbor Freight, and it is one of my favorite tools. $10. Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Okay. So it's going to be kind of hard to see, but the reason I like to use these is because there's no cutting action above the teeth, right? So once you get your right height placement and you get it cut in, you can start working it around, and it almost like stays in that groove, and you really have to like fight it up to get it to eat upward. It eats downward easier than it eats upward. So that's why I like using this tool. I mean, for this, you could use a really small ball and kind of get a similar effect, but you're still going to have that rounding. Your stone's not going to sit like you want it. So the inverted cone is the way to go. So I'm just going to work my way all the way around. And see, it's not changing the diameter of the hole. Then you can kind of see a little shelf forming on the inside. And that's going to catch the girdle of your stone. And you can see it's wanting to like slip in there. So, oh, and it's glass. I figured that would happen, but you know, when you have precious stones that have higher hardnesses, obviously they're going to snap in there. They're not going to, it's not going to be such an issue. With that human error and the size of my burrs, I know I was like right there, right there. But it snapped into place, so I'll set it real quick. Okay, so I'm sure you know what this is. So when you're using any kind of a push tool, when you're using any kind of a push tool, you don't want to push with your arm. You want to lean into it. So keep yourself nice and stable, right? And get nice and comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, it's going to look like shit. So get nice and comfortable and get a good angle at it, nice straight angle, and lean into it. Just like lean into it. And that's gonna, like, you need to really push it less than you think to get it to keep in there. Um, you really need to move it less than you would think. So I'm not even gonna get to where the tool overlaps. I'm not even gonna get where the tool overlaps the stone at all, or even the edge. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna put that tooling almost right over the top of this. That way when because I'm going to be at a little bit of an angle, that way when I push, it pushes all this thin section over the stone. And it only, like I said, only needs to go a little bit. When you got a good bead setting, it'll snap in there. So you won't need to move the silver a lot. can always go back to a place as long as you don't eat the silver off of it. You just gotta try to keep in mind that section that you thinned out is and this is pretty sharp, you know what I mean? So that thin section is only going to take so much pressure before it gives. Now I'm going to start giving it some rotations. I'm going to go back to that spot, press in again, nice and straight, lean into it, give it some rotations. Back to that spot, lean into it, give it some rotations. Same thing, boom, give it some rotations. You see how that, like, I didn't even need to get close to that thing at all, and it pushed that silver over. So, hope that helped, man.